So in this video, I want to talk about the difference between zeros, factors, and intercepts, x-intercepts specifically, because these are kind of like very similar ideas, and it's pretty common that you'll be asked to list the factors versus list the zeros. And I've found sometimes students just aren't sure what the difference is. So I wanted to just make a quick video to discuss that. So I think it's easiest to discuss that by using an example. So here's kind of the quintessential example for this. So I've got the function x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, so first of all, to be a zero, what does it mean to be a zero? Well, to be a zero, you're looking for the value of x that makes f of x equal 0. So this is what it means in general. So that's all you ever have to do to find a 0 is to set the function equal to 0. So if I do that, if I write x squared plus 6x plus 8 and set that equal to 0, well, this is a quadratic, so all I have to do then is factor it. And so if I factor it, this will be x plus 2, x plus 4. And so then my zeros are whatever makes each factor equal 0. So what makes x plus 2 equal 0? That would be x equals negative 2. What makes x plus 4 equal 0? That would be x equals negative 4. Okay, so I think even in this explanation, you can kind of start to see how similar these ideas are. So these are the zeros. But if I asked what are the factors of this function, well, I had to factor to actually do this, right? So if I then said, well, what are the factors of the function? It's literally how does this function factor? And so in this case, this would be x plus 2 and x plus 4. Okay. And then finally, we have the idea of the intercepts. So actually, let me make a little space. Okay, so the intercepts in general are, so just in general, I guess I'll just draw a general function here. So intercepts are always where the graph crosses this x-axis, right? So those are the x-intercepts. And specifically, so what does it mean if this function crosses the x-axis? Well, that means that f of x must equal 0 at each one of these points. So for x-intercepts are always going to be points, but the y-coordinate of them is always 0. So thinking back on all the work that we just did here, so these zeros are what are going to make up the points. So in this case, my x-intercepts are going to be negative 2 comma 0 and negative 4 comma 0. Because I know that at negative 2, that's going to make the function equal 0, so then I can just spin that around and turn that into an intercept. So the three are very related, and you just want to pay attention to the language. So let's try this again for x squared minus 9. So let's start by finding the zeros. Well, if I take x squared minus 9 and set it equal to 0, and then I factor it, I can see that my zeros are going to be 3 and negative 3. And the factors of the function, well, we already found those, right? So that's how we factored the function. And so then finally, what are my x-intercepts? Well, my x-intercepts are going to be made from these points here. These are the x part of the coordinate. So my x-intercepts will be 3, 0 and negative 3, 0. Okay. So just to check in that you actually understand this, I'd strongly recommend that you pause the video and just try this one on your own. Math is not a spectator sport. It's a lot better if you try the example just to make sure you get it, then you'll remember it better. Hit play when you're ready. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and factor this. So this factors as x minus 3 and x minus 4. So there are my factors. And if I set x minus 3 and x minus 4 equal to 0, I get that my zeros are x equals 3 and x equals 4. And then my intercepts would be 3, 0 and 4, 0. So hopefully that kind of helps explain the difference between the three. If you found that helpful, I'd love it if you hit that like button. And otherwise, I'll catch you guys in another video. Peace.